Hey there, folks. Welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today we're finally going to be talking about the newest album from Yelawolf called Ghetto Cowboy. So when I reviewed Yelawolf's Trunk Music 3 earlier this year, I made the observation that you could tell he was not happy with his label Shady Records under the purview of Eminem. Actually, that's probably an understatement, because with every listen I gave that album, I got the unpleasant impression that not only did it feel like a slapdash rush to get something out that would get him away from Shady, he did it by getting a verse from Machine Gun Kelly to boot as a final middle finger to them. And on some level, I can't really blame Yelawolf. At this point, Shady's inability to promote any artist who is not named Eminem towards mainstream success is becoming common knowledge, and given that he could have easily made a killing in a year where hip-hop and country crossovers were surging in the mainstream, it's more than a little bit depressing that it just didn't happen. But at the same time, I also said that I was worried that Trunk Music 3 didn't leave Yelawolf in the best place going forward if he wanted to hop onto another label. But that was assuming he was gonna chase another major label at all. Instead, less than a year later, we've got Ghetto Cowboy, where Yelawolf has trimmed down his features for a much leaner project on his own label Slamerican for a pretty quick rebound. And while I tend to be pretty skeptical of artists releasing more than one album in a year, given what he was leaving behind, I was inclined to give him a pass, be kind of supportive here. And hey, again, I'm a fan of Yelawolf, and I was pleased to see this sell a little bit better than I was expecting for an indie release, so maybe there was something worthwhile here. So what do we get off of Ghetto Cowboy? So talking about this project places me in a bit of an awkward position, because again, I am a Yelawolf fan, but I also really like Love Story and Trial by Fire, two projects released under Shady where I can't deny that some of the more obvious label moves did help in terms of song construction and greater dimensionality. So coming into Ghetto Cowboy, it's certainly a project that carries more of an edge, and it's absolutely stronger than Trunk Music 3, at least to me, but I do think it suffers a little bit from not being able to effectively translate all those compositional strengths consistently. Again, it's a pretty good album, and if he's looking to win back a lot of his die-hard fan base who were alienated before, this will get him there, but it's also a transitional project, and it leaves me a little bit more intrigued with where he's gonna go from here, if that makes any sense. Pretty damn good, not quite great, but I'm kind of willing to give him a pass for that. And a huge part of it has to come with Yelawolf himself, and a lot of his subject matter, and a strange comparison that's gonna sound absolutely nuts when I bring it up, but the more I thought about it, the more there was a strange sort of sense to it. Yelawolf at certain points on this album reminds me a little bit of Rick Ross. Now, obviously, for me, Yelawolf's a better rapper, better command of flows, more naturally melodic, considerably more introspective, and not at all afraid to highlight his hardscrabble upbringing and the real failures he's faced, both then and now. But when I hear Rick Ross's strengths in terms of his flexing, his consistent sound, his command of atmosphere, and the level of detail to the scenes that he paints, and then I shift across genres to what Yelawolf is delivering, it's hard not to see something of a parallel, especially with the newest entry to the Bach Chevy series, and cuts like Country Rich, or Renegades, or Still Riding. And you know what, to me, that can be a bit of a mixed blessing, because in the aftermath of his likely contentious relationship with Shady, you'd think there'd be just more than a few passing subliminals across Still Riding, and the stormy ballad You and Me angled to win back a lot of fans, which probably has the strongest hook on the album, but I do wish he was willing to punch a little bit harder, partially because there are people that Yelawolf is not holding back against. Unnatural Born Killer calls out racist pretty bluntly in the first verse with him in more of a violent mode, and Here I Am is a sort of ass-whooping song that targets frat boys, yuppie conservatives, and Mark Zuckerberg. And the song is awesome. And you know what? That is one thing that I've always really appreciated about Yelawolf as a rapper. He doesn't shy away from highlighting that rural America can be just as much of a dreary, drug-addicted, poverty-stricken bore and trap. And his self-loathing and alcohol abuse to this day shows exactly how quickly he can stumble back into that territory by coming home. And you can tell that between the lines that his time on a major label and away from that place has led to some disconnect he's trying to reform. Maybe if only only in his own mind, but it's also led to him coming home a little shrewder, a little bit wiser, from the mature realization of the failed love he still kind of wants back on Solo, where his own demons did get the best of him to ruin the relationship in the first place, to how Keep On Rollin' highlights how he might have ridden some sort of unique wave and trend to achieve success, but now he's still very much in that lane, and said path has diverged, and he doesn't have a lot of kind words from mainstream Nashville country cribbing hip-hop style with no knowledge of the history and culture, even as he knows those artists riding that wave will fizzle out when the industry's done with them, and it sounds like he more pities them than he's actively angry. Now again, some of my personal longing for more might be a factor of me wishing that Yelawolf would go scorched earth on the unique failures of both country and hip-hop. I remember his verse on Angelina Presley's album in 2017, but it's also clear his focus has moved on to be a little bit more aspirational. Well, at least as much as he can be. As the title track implies, that ride could be hellish and maybe even a downward spiral indeed. He hasn't got rid of his vices. That being said, none of this is unfamiliar territory for Yelawolf fans. We've heard a lot of this quite a couple times before, and I do wish he had leveraged some of the more storytelling instincts he's been developing the past couple of years beyond just background texture. There's not a Sabrina here, and I'll say it, kinda disappointing. Of course, the other big concern I had coming off of Shady is that Yelawolf's production might backslide a little bit with more limited production budget, but that is not the case, mostly because he's always kept a pretty tight circle even while he was on his major label. We always had Slamerican in the background, and most of said crew reprised their roles here, and yet the production seems considerably better this time around. For one, the blending of Yelawolf's vocals has improved considerably, returning to the trial by fire approach of placing him a shade bit deeper within the mix, and not just slathering his more nasal tone right on top. Even his singing on cuts like So Long and You and Me, often the most questionable part of any Yelawolf album, it sounds better. But you can also tell the tones he's picked this time around, they're a little rougher, they're a little bit nastier as a whole, and more of a naturalistic fit for his nasal bark, even if they might be a little less organic. From the scuzzy synth gurgle driving Unnatural Born Killer, the brittle acoustics that warp against the crushing swing of that beat on Here I Am, the layered tangle of guitars around Keep On Rollin', and maybe even some of the more faded, bassy smolder of the title track. Now, I'm still very much on the fence about Yelawolf anywhere near a trap progression, especially modern ones, with the biggest examples being the brighter synths on Bach Chevy 7, and the clear guitars coasting around Country Rich. The snares and the cymbals could afford to crack a little bit sharper there, but I think the larger problem comes whenever Yelawolf flips to a much brighter major key hook that doesn't always match the tone of the song coming off the verses or the pre-chorus. And the wheedling electric guitar that pulls off the stormy tones of Lightning, all of the hook on So Long, and to a lesser extent, a lot of the ugly vocal filters on Renegades. Yes, they are a lot less overmixed and muddy than the last album, but I found myself kind of missing the fiery grit we got on Trial by Fire, or at least hooks that had the same melodic kick as the best songs on Love Story. They're never outright bad. The song that I probably like the least is Renegades, and I even wouldn't say that's outright awful. But this album as a whole, it's only great in patches. There's only a couple great songs that stand out amidst a lot of good ones. But you know what? When you consider this project is transitional, and it's far better paced than any Yelawolf project in recent memory, and there's no outright embarrassing passages or songs, I will say this feels more like Yelawolf settling back into his atmosphere and grooves in the underground, for which he's a lot more comfortable, and I can hear him embracing some of the richer country textures he likes more on future albums or mixtapes. Now, as it is, Ghetto Cowboy is a step back in the right direction, with a couple of great standouts and a consistent level of quality that avoids some of the questionable shady push sounds where talent and execution outshone a lot of bad ideas. And thus for me, it's a solid 7 out of 10. Not quite back to greatness, but on the path to getting there, and as such I'm gonna give this a recommendation. And you know what, if you're looking for country rap that's got a lot more to it than just novelty as Old Town Road starts to fade away, yeah, you know what, Yelawolf's been here the entire damn time, and right now, he's got the freedom to do it right. So check this out. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Like to like and subscribe, I'd be more than grateful. Yes, I know, I'm late getting to it. I will be working to resolve some of those issues coming next year. Stay tuned for that. But hey, if you guys want to actually buy or stream the album, links down there below. And I got the poll up there. I am curious where you guys all fall on this, because again, Yelawolf fan base, they've really gone through a lot of up and downs the past little while, and I know when I covered Trump Music 3, it wasn't exactly well received. Beyond that, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if you're looking for other album reviews and the newest episode of Billboard Breakdown, links in the card right over there. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.